been married for I'm bad with dates, I'm sorry. Either like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, but what I noticed, what I hear a lot, and I was wondering if you guys have the answer to this, and I've always heard a lot that once you hit around like the 5 year mark, the marriage gets better. Is that true? I heard it from a lot of people. So obviously, I'm not there yet. So I'm just curious because it is very rough. Like, not let me not say very rough, but marriage is very hard. I can
Yeah.
tell you that.
Yeah.
And I've committed to my marriage when my parent, knowing that my parents are separated. So which was very hard. It was very hard for me and my wife, on the other hand, her parents been married for like 20 plus years. So they've been married for quite some time. So it's just a big difference between me and my wife. But yeah, I was just curious about if that question is true if you hit the 5 year mark, because I heard that
Yeah.
from like a lot of married couples.
Do y'all have kids?
I'm actually, we don't have any kids, but my wife has a son, and I've been in his life since he was 2. And his biological father is kind of like always in and out, so he
Okay.
calls me dad and everything. So it's cool.
Okay. So as far as the amount of years that you're dealing with, what you'll normally see when it comes to marriage is after when you reached about the 2 year mark, you start to see a decline in marital satisfaction just because that high from the marriage wears off. And then when we get into year 3 and 4 is when couples normally start to have children, and that puts a stress on their relationship because their marriage goes from being partner focused to now it's being child focused, and all the attention is being put on the kids instead of the relationship like it was before the kids came into the picture. As far as that 5 year mark, you start to make an adjustment in your marriage because you start to overcome a couple of different challenges. You start to get used to being with the children, but you only get that adjustment if you're putting in the work, right? So it's not magically, oh, once we hit 5 years, then everything is good. Babe, we just got to get to that 5 year mark and our marriage will be straight. Like, no, you have to go out there and get the information and the resources in order to help you make that adjustment because marriage is difficult when you don't understand how it works. But the moment that you get the knowledge and the tools and the skills in order to deal with the challenges, it makes marriage a lot easier.
That makes sense. Thank you
What is the
for your
biggest issue that
response.
y'all are dealing with when you say that it's challenging? What's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with in your marriage?
Well, we actually recently we've been doing all right because we've been having couples therapy for
Okay.
quite some time now. I would say not too long, but probably like 3 4 months, and we've been doing really good. We've been asking each other and doing check-ins with each other, and it's been going pretty good actually lately. And one thing that I can't remember which podcast it was when I was listening to you guys, but the one podcast that touched me a lot and made me understand a lot what you said was you have to become a student of your spouse. And
Yeah.
once I understood that, I was just like, let me stop getting mad all the time. You know what I'm saying? Because she, what I didn't understand was when my wife would express herself, I always took it as, oh, why is she complaining? Why is she complaining? Now we
Yeah.
about to argue. You know what I'm saying? But
Yep.
now having to go to like us taking our couples therapy, I understand it more. It was just like instead of getting mad, let me understand her. Let me comfort her because
Mhm.
90% of the time she just wants to be comforted. I feel like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and once I started comforting her, that's when I realized I was just like, all right, let me start doing this more. Let me understand her more instead of getting mad. And yeah, it's just the fact that it's kind of hard for me too because I have a lot of childhood trauma too. So I try to work
Mhm.
on myself also. So yeah, it's just my marriage is going pretty good. But like yeah, like you said, like the first couple years we were married, it was rough, and it was just kind of more of I feel like it was kind of us both being immature also because when we got married, my wife she was 22, I believe. So she
Mhm.
was still young.
Yeah.
She wants to follow in a kind of like in the footsteps of her parents since her parents got married They've been married for quite some time, and I believe her mom got married at 18.
Right.
So they got married very young, and she see like mistakes that her parents went through, and she just try to learn from that. And like I didn't really have a very good um I guess like role models as like for marriage. When it came to marriage to my parents, because yeah, my parents separated. My dad's an alcoholic. It's just like it. I didn't have no role models when it came to that. So I was just like, dang, like I'm kind of just jumping into something that I feel like what I seen failed, you know?
Hmm.
So it was kind of hard for me, but
I'm
yeah,
about to open your
everything's
eyes to
actually going.
something because I think that a lot of men, a lot of people in general is going to learn from what you just shared right now. It's not that you, it's not only that you didn't have a role model to show you how to do marriage the right way, but you touched on the childhood trauma you experienced. You didn't have the right support system around you either, which likely explains the relationship that you have with your wife. Because if you didn't have a secure attachment with your caretakers when you were growing up, and you talked about how your dad dealt with alcohol abuse, um, you learned that people don't really show up for you the way that you need them to show up for you. And as a man, what you will do is you will shut down your emotions, you'll suppress them because you'll ask yourself, what is the point of me trying to express myself or showing my pain if I have to deal with it by myself? So because you stunt your own growth emotionally and you disconnect with that part of yourself, when you then get into a romantic relationship, you can't connect with that part of somebody else because you haven't even learned how to deal with your own emotions, how to get your own needs met. So how can you meet the needs of somebody else? So one of the things that you have to do is unpack that trauma that you went through as a child and start to learn how you can move from, I'm not sure what your attachment style is, but you have to move to more of a secure style of attachment, meaning that you're not afraid to express your emotions. You understand your emotions so that now you can see your wife's emotions, because that's what I struggle with too. Now I get when you said, oh, why she want to complain? She just wants to argue. And then you realize as you're going through marital counseling, like, no, she just wants to be seen. She wants to express what she's going through, and she wants to know that her husband sees her pain and he cares about her pain. So the more that you work on what you're going through, the better partner you'll become for her.